Tornadoes, floods as Hurricane Milton carves path of destruction in Florida. Heavy rains to continue as storm weakens. After fierce winds that leave more than 3 million people without power. Hurricane Milton has left a trail of destruction in Florida as it whipped up tornadoes and brought torrential rains and raging winds that destroyed homes and knocked out power for millions of people in the U.S. state. While the National Hurricane Center said on Thursday that the storm, which made landfall on the state's western coast hours earlier, had weakened to a Category 1 hurricane, it was still hurtling through Florida with wind speeds of 150 kilometers per hour, 93 miles per hour. Milton made landfall at about 8:30 p.m., 0:30 Greenwich Mean Time, on Wednesday as a Category 3 hurricane. With maximum sustained winds of 195 kilometers per hour, 121 miles per hour, near Siesta Key, Florida. The storm is expected to maintain hurricane strength as it crosses the Florida peninsula and emerges into the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday, forecasters said, despite it running out of steam. At least 19 tornadoes ripped across the southern part of Florida, hundreds of miles from the center of the storm, as it neared land. More than 3 million people in Florida were left without power as of 3:58 a.m. 7:58 Greenwich Mean Time, according to poweroutage.us, which tracks power supply. With the state's west coast worst affected, the number of casualties is still unclear. At least 4 people were killed after tornadoes hit St. Lucie County in advance of Hurricane Milton making landfall. The Spanish Lakes Country Club near Fort Pierce, on Florida's Atlantic coast, was hit particularly hard, with homes destroyed and some residents killed, according to local officials. About 125 homes were destroyed before the hurricane came ashore, many of them mobile homes in communities for senior citizens, said Kevin Guthrie, the director of the Florida Division of Emergency Management. Reporting from Orlando, Florida, Al Jazeera's Heidi Jo Castro said there were people who chose to ride the storm out and shelter in place. Al Jazeera's senior weather presenter Everton Fox said the center of the storm was clearing the east coast of Florida and was currently located about 15 kilometers, 9 miles, northeast of Cape Canaveral. It's likely to be downgraded to a tropical storm by the end of today, Thursday, as it tracks east into the Atlantic, eventually passing well south of Bermuda. On Saturday, he said, adding that winds still pose a significant threat and flooding remains a major concern. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis warned in a Wednesday evening news briefing that the hurricane had arrived on the state's coastline and that it was no longer possible to evacuate safely. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration credited the La Niña weather pattern and warmer-than-average water temperatures for an above-average Atlantic hurricane season. The overall number of hurricanes has already surpassed last year's total, Oliver Carpenter, Director of Environmental Risk, Resilience, a University of Cambridge Center for Risk Studies spinout, told Al Jazeera that climate change is affecting hurricane activity in the North Atlantic. It is supercharging them to be more destructive and increasing the risk of major damage. Tropical cyclones occur naturally, but climate change is fueling warmer ocean and air temperatures, which is driving more intense, larger, and longer-lasting storms, he said. While Milton is expected to do the most damage in western Florida, the neighboring state of Georgia, which is reeling from last month's Hurricane Helene, is also bracing for its impact. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp urged residents of the state's coastal counties to prepare for falling trees, scattered power outages and potential flooding near the ocean.
Well, that's it for today's video. What are your thoughts? Please let us know on the comment section below. Whose celebrity do you want us to feature next? Thank you for watching FASN News Channel.